Pickacard. What do your enemies realize now? Here are your options, and I'll see what you're reading.
Okay.
Hi friends, my name is Griselle with Toughdolltarot, and I'm here to do your reading. Pile number 1, what do your enemies realize now? They realize that they've been comparing themselves to you this entire time. And I'm talking about in a toxic manner. So I feel like you're an inverted mirror in a way. And they are starting to realize, massive realization, that in retrospect, they've misunderstood you the entire time. I heard obsessions, but I meant assumptions. And they've been hyper-focused on your flaws. Join me in 3, 2, 1 for your reading. Welcome, welcome. If you're new here, I hope that you find something that is helpful or at least interesting. And for those of you guys that are indeed my repeat offenders, I am super grateful to have you here. Thank you so much for your patience, love, and your support. Pile number 1, what do your enemies realize now? Yes, I did the air quotes if you're not watching your camera or your phone, I should say. You have cycles. And you have incomplete. Okay, what? Okay. So this card literally jumped out during the shuffle, and I tried to put her back, and she stayed on the table. So I guess she was meant to be. So I just left her up here. So pile number 1, it says cycles, positive turn of events, growth. It's time to make big moves, favorable financial cycle, positive change, opportunities for growth, luck gains. Things will happen regardless. Something ending while another is beginning. Necessary changes and go with it. So it's almost like a gambling card. It's a little bit of, okay, so Gemini, Taurus could be indicated here, but I feel like Wheel of Fortune vibes. So something about cycles right here. And I feel like what your enemies realize right now is that they are identifying cycles in their own life, which is really interesting to me, because for the past few days, I've been getting this message from Spirit, like, do you really need a villain? Do you need a villain in your life in order to grow? Do you really need one? Do you really need to be a villain to someone else? And with those thoughts, I was just sort of thinking, you know, it's almost like hardship tends to really force us into growth, but we should have more of a willing heart to change. I don't know where that's coming from, but I definitely feel like this enemy is starting to realize that they have unresolved issues, that they have the same cycles, the same patterns with other people, even perhaps the same conversations. And they're starting to realize that maybe perhaps you, pile number 1, are not the villain after all, that perhaps you simply brought out, just like a mirror, just like the pre-shuffle, or the shuffle, I should say, that you're a little bit of an inverted mirror, or a mirror to them. You showed them what it is that needs to change, what it is that's unresolved, what it is that's leaving things a mess in their life. And I feel like it's very discombobulating for this person, this enemy of yours, at a later time. Yeah. And I feel like this enemy, or these enemies, plural, I feel like they could find out about this years down the road. So it's definitely something that has come to the forefront, and they're starting to realize, wow, you know, what's a common denominator in this issue? Instead of thinking, well, I'm always, you know, the victim, and I'm always the one targeted, and I'm always the one that people come after, or whatever your enemy is thinking. And again, I use that term loosely. Now, with these readings, I'm very careful, because I realize that with the titles, it's going to attract a certain demographic. But also, you know, our mindsets really have to change about something. So I definitely choose my titles carefully. I use a lot of thought when I do it, or at least I try to. But I just want to kind of challenge a thought of, you know, a villain hero, and how easily it is, and how fine of a line that can be at times. And so if you really look at your lives, I think that you'll find that to be true. You'll start to realize that maybe perhaps this person or those people weren't so bad after all. Or maybe perhaps we played more of a part in our own destiny or what transpired before. And I feel like that's exactly where this this enemy is. Okay, I heard in my head this villain again. So it could be villain. Maybe I should even title it, what does this villain realize now? But it doesn't make a difference. So what do your enemies realize now? What does your enemy realize now? Pity party. So they've gone through a cycle of having pity parties, that they can't just quite get out of it, that they're always stuck in something, that someone is always, you know, evil in their life, like coming for them or causing them pain or causing them injustice, right? Pity party indicates to me like things just happen to me. I don't know why. But that's not really true. So it says feeling resentful about other people, feeling sorry for yourself, ungrateful, complaining about life, pessimistic, not getting enough attention, half-empty mentality, and struggle financially. So it's a time for them to heal. And they need to heal that. You know, it's there comes a certain point, you know, and absolutely myself included, where you can't be pointing fingers and blaming the whole world about everything. You have to take accountability and responsibility for your own life, regardless of if you know, had a part to play in this story in whatever capacity or not, you know. But I definitely feel like coming from a place of power and realizing that we all need to heal different kinds of wounds, and that's maybe partially why we're here. That's what's going to really help elevate us and help to get us out of the stuck mentality. So it might behoove us to really look at the cycles in our own life. And I feel like as you identify cycles in your own life and you start to heal those things, you spark that in other people. So you're definitely somebody who really realizes patterns. You identify patterns. And I feel like this is in everything, not just about like your enemies, okay? You could have pointed these things out to other people, but they failed to hear it. They failed to see it. And sometimes the people closest to us just can't really tell or teach us or show us anything, right? It has a lot to do with, I can never say this properly because my mouth doesn't move that way. It's familiarity breeds contempt. I can't say that word, but I think you understand what I'm talking about. So what our enemies realize now is that they've been stuck in cycles that they themselves need to break in order to come out of this mentality. And that really, what is the enemy? Is the enemy is their own behavior, their own mentality, their own victim mentality, their own cycles, and their lack of their ability to complete the cycle, to really see it as like, okay, I'm done with this. Let me do something different so that it doesn't become, you know, just another cycle repeated over and over again, like Groundhog Day. So what our enemies realize now? Pile number one, if you're liking these kind of readings, do you take a moment to like, share, comment, subscribe? I know my channel has changed quite a bit recently, and it will probably continue evolving. My brain does get a little bit squirrely, so I need some variety in order to keep me interested as well. So what do your enemies realize now? Strength, that you're incredibly strong, that you have a beautiful heart, a very strong heart, that maybe perhaps you lead with your heart. You could have connection to pile number three. Now, I'm not entirely sure what pile number three is going to be yet because I haven't shot it, but I just got the channel messages. And I'm going to say that you really follow your intuition, that you have this ability to detect danger, to detect what is poisonous, what is a problem, what is instinct, okay? Because when I think about snakes and, you know, if you're a reptilian lover, then I apologize beforehand. Do forgive and pause that for just a moment. I don't want to be your enemy, okay? But I'm going to say that I feel like, you know, snakes tend to act a little bit more on instinct than your average, or maybe perhaps simply their instinct can be detrimental to other people, right? With their venom, or a lot of snakes do have venom. A lot don't, I realize. But it's almost like, I feel like they're starting to realize now that they could have acted in a way that was instinctive, not a lot of forethought, knee-jerk reactions, behavioral patterns were coming into play for short and cycles. And I feel like something about that could have really hurt your heart. I feel like with this little mouse, it's almost like, oh, I'm like, oh, little mouse, it's in the afterlife already. I never thought about it like that, but he's got a little glow about him, right? And I definitely feel like with the clouds parting right here, I feel like it could be a situation where you approached with like all heart and then they just struck, and meaning they acted in a way, in a behavioral way that was, you know, not good. Maybe it was poisonous, maybe it was toxic, maybe it was knee-jerk reaction, you know, but it doesn't matter why. But I feel like that's what they're starting to realize now, is that they've ruined a lot of relationships, not just yours, or created a lot of animosity or toxicity simply because they're not like paying attention to the heart. They're like, oh, it's a mouse, let me just strike because it moved. And that they themselves have poisoned and tarnished a lot of issues and a lot of people and a lot of situations around them. So they're starting to realize, your enemies are realizing now that you weren't the problem after all, that you were the catalyst, that you, again, are or were the mirror that provided that image back to them that reflected, wow, you know, is this what you want to continue doing? So these people could have been speaking with forked tongue. They could have a cycle of talking about you, or a cycle about talking about other people or circumstances. That is dualistic, that is misleading, that is a flat out lie. And I feel like they're getting caught up and trapped in their own lies. And it's a cycle of, they want to cry wolf when they created the situation. And so, you know, the reality of it is that things just didn't end with you, and you're not simply the villain. They're realizing that you're incredibly strong, that your strength is very much otherworldly, that even after, if you have separated, because I do feel like there is a big separation here, there is a big gap. It could be a big gap in distance. You could be in a different city, country, or simply, you know, a different geographical location that you don't encounter each other much anymore, or if at all. But I definitely feel like their brain goes back to you, and they are having to do a lot of healing, a lot of, I'm hearing, cleaning up. And the reason why also is that they pay no attention to anyone's heart, or didn't. Maybe they paid attention only to their own. I'm sure that reptiles have hearts. Please don't unfriend me. Don't cancel me. I'm just not a fan. It's a personal preference, but it's okay. It's okay. We all have preferences here. So what do your enemies realize now? Although I do like this cute little small snakes. I don't know. I think they're cute, but the kind that you want to boop, not the kind that will boop you to hell and back. So what do your enemies realize about you now? Also that part of the medicine is the poison. I feel like they're starting to realize that as well. But that they're only left with like an image, an impression of you, or a memory of you. And they themselves have to deal with that because they've dealt with this like toxic cycle, toxic behavior. I'm getting a lot of like familial things as well. If you've had like family that have, you know, rescuer, victim, villain, whatever type of cycles, it could be a situation where you had been vilified and you stepped away from the whole situation and decided to create your happiness elsewhere. And, you know, once you become not part of the problem, or not even a part of the table conversation, because you eliminate yourself in every way, shape, and form, maybe this is a situation of no contact, then they have to really figure themselves out. They have no other options, really. And sometimes that is the best way. Not a retaliation situation, but that is the best way for your own peace, your own sanity, your own ability to grow and diversify, and make changes that are going to be healthy for you. And happiness, of course. So what do your enemies realize now? That they need to do deep shadow work. Is this a stick? Yeah, it's one of those like stick little insects. I forget what they're called. I don't know. That's pretty cool. But they need to go within. They need to go within and do the shadow work, do the hermit thing, go through a period of hermitude and really explore, why do they behave this way? Why are they in these cycles themselves? Why do they think in a circular fashion? Like, you know, everything comes back to me. Everything is an insult to me personally. Why is everything so negative and toxic to the point where you want to lie about things, cheat about things, scheme about things, and yet you don't want to take accountability for the outcome of your actions? So I definitely feel like this has put people in a mindset of, they have to kind of let go. They have to face their own demons. They have to face the fact that they've lied upon your name. And I feel like even that can have illuminated, that it is being brought to light. I feel like people are really shook by this as well. Your enemies are realizing now that they lay a trap of their own making, that when they set the trap and they thought, I'm going to put these boards right here and hide it with a couple of leaves. And there is a big hole at the very bottom of those hidden boards, and my enemy is going to fall right through into my trap, and I'm going to win this one. What they realize is that now those things are being exposed, that the way that they lay traps are exposed, the fact that they have a cycle, they have patterns of this, they have circular thinking, they could be even having mental health issues, because I definitely feel like lunacy, that sort of thing. I feel like all of this is coming out into the open, and your enemies are realizing right now that maybe perhaps it is a health crisis, a health issue, a mental health issue, and a lot of things that are being brought to light are a them problem, not a you problem. Now, I know that seems a little bit simplistic, but look at these two cards right here. I mean, they're completely opposite. This one is like, I want to wield power no matter what. I'm going to bite no matter what. If you give me an inch, I'll take a mile. I'll take a gazillion miles. This is somebody who was led by greed and insatiable hunger. No matter how much you gave, it wasn't enough. And yeah, the number 1616 on camera right now. So let me know what you think. Let me know if this resonates or what your thoughts are. Until next time, namaste.
Okay.
Hi friends, my name is Grisal with Toughdolltarot, and I'm here to do your reading. Pile number 2, what do your enemies realize now that you're over-talented? Wait, what? Because you have ballet shoes and have wings all at once? You got too much going on. You're incredibly autonomous, agile, strong, and everything seems to flow to you. You stand out and listen to no one else's counsel, simply your own inner barometer to tell you where to go and what to do. And it really appears that you're in this state of joy, the state of bliss. Now keep in mind, this is outside. If this is you or sounds intriguing, join me for your reading in 3. Welcome. If you're new here, I hope that you find something that is helpful or encouraging. And for those of you guys that are indeed my repeat offenders, I am so very grateful. Thank you so very much. Pile number 2. What do your enemies realize? What do they realize now? Oh goodness, tension. My ring straight got caught on here. Minor irritations, not enough time to do what you love, disruption of plans, feeling invisible and not heard. Well, unsettled phase will soon pass, feeling as if you settle divorce or separation. I think these images are so pretty, so I'm just going to put them in the upright so we can enjoy them. Yeah, it's this deck is Vibe About It. Vibe About It on Etsy, if you're interested in it. Okay. So yeah, but this is bliss. Let's see what else we have here. We have tensions and we have giving. It's giving. With Libra and Virgo here. Well, money is coming, paying off debts, financial investments. You may help someone in need, genuine support. Someone will take a chance on you, raise money, love offers, set up, kind. Okay. So yeah, definitely moderation here. Moderation. So what do your enemies realize now? I definitely think that your enemies realize now that you had You had a lot of tenderness and love and support, and it wasn't reciprocal. I definitely feel like you overgave, you did too much. You definitely crossed your own boundaries and allowed your own boundaries to be crashed through as well. But what they're realizing right now is that as much as you were willing to give of yourself, that you've withdrawn. Not only have you withdrawn and maybe even the situation has ended, but that you've taken into account that you are worth more than... I heard teardrops. Interesting. Maybe this person made you cry a lot. It could have been a partnership that you really wanted, or a partnership that you pretzeled yourself over in order to really try to make things work or give to them, or really appease them in any way, shape, and form, and it still wasn't good enough. Their hunger, frankly, pile number 2, was just too great. So with this tenderness, I feel like, yeah, there was this thing where you gave so very much, and it was not reciprocal, that you felt unheard, that you had plans in your mind, plans in your heart, and that's where you were doing a lot of the giving. But what you didn't realize is that this person, these people, this enemy, was simply taking, they were absorbing, they were assimilating, okay, if you will. And I feel like what they're realizing right now is how narcissistic this behavior really is, how destructive this is, how destructive it is to a partnership that this behavior is. But now, pile number 2, they are realizing, your enemy is realizing that you are getting your flowers, that you are now balanced, that you are really upholding yourself as not only the standard, but worthy of being given to, okay? And the fact that you're doing this, they're starting to see you come into your own, that you are really receiving, you're into the soft feminine era, whether you're male or female, doesn't make a difference, that you're into the receiving mode, that you're actually being given to. And this is really, this is attractive. Not that we're even here, you know, but I definitely feel like they're even more attracted to you, pile number 2, than they were before. So I definitely feel like this hints a lot towards love, towards bliss, towards things that you really wanted to have with this person. They could have been a Virgo, maybe a Libra, vice versa, or maybe those characteristics are simply coming into play right now. Now, I'm going to say with this Virgo energy, and it was reversed, they're starting to realize that they have a lot of toxic tendencies, and it is born out of a need to control. And when do we control things, especially like people, environment, things like that? I'm all like that. Maybe they have a different kind of accent than you do, or maybe you speak differently than they do, or something like that. But what they're realizing is that this need for control, desire for control, has really served to destroy nearly every relationship that they have had. The number 444, it is on camera right now, is served to destabilize them, deharmonize them. Is that a word? It really has served to rip the rug from under their own, very own feet. And I feel like it's caused the opposite, really, of what they wanted to begin with, why they employed these, you know, manipulation tactics and cycles and whatnot. And so I feel like what they're realizing right now is that you weren't the villain, and you weren't the one even to look at, like, let me conquer, let me not conquer. That's not even the issue. What needs to be conquered is their own ego, their own mindset, their own lack of trust, their own lack of self-worth. And what they're really realizing, your enemy is realizing right now, is that in the end, when they look in the mirror, that's the real enemy. And until they can really like who they are, when they see, like what they see in the mirror, there is no saving grace. There is no helping the situation, or helping themselves. I definitely feel like it's an era for them to deconstruct whom they are and to decide who they want to be, because we all have decisions to make, and we can make microscopic or really tiny adjustments and pivots in our lives to really you know, become what it is that we want to be or identify with. And in pile number 2, I definitely feel like it has been a very difficult task for them. It has been, to say that it's challenging, it is a little speck of dust in their world right now. I definitely feel like even their relationship with their children, with their spouses, with their significant others, whatever this case is, even quote simple relationships like friendships have suffered, all have suffered because of this manipulative tactic. I feel like almost like that hand grabbing. It's almost like it seems very possessive, and it's like, well, you do what I say, or this is how it's done, or it's got to turn out the way I need it or I want it, and it's got to be just so. And pile number 2, I definitely feel like what your enemy is realizing right now is that they cannot control everything. And when they try to control things, it is due to their sense of lack of control that they behave this way. So this is coming to light to them. It's going to be up to them to heal that part of that. But let's see what else we have here on board. Pile number 2, Dream Team. What? Come on in. So, time to collaborate with others, find partner through work, or one who works well with you. Initial stages of goal, project, attracting like-minded people. Get involved in a professional network or group where ideas are shared and respected, or adopting a pet. Interesting, this looks like puzzle pieces or even mahjong. I don't know if somebody plays that or does those things, but I definitely feel like they're trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And maybe they thought that, you know what, I'm going to have a dream team. And, you know, it's feeling like to me a situation where a partner or somebody who tried to triangulate you or did triangulate you in your relationship before decided they wanted a dream team. They wanted the picture perfect. They wanted all the pieces of the puzzle together according to how they see it. But all of a sudden, they're forcing the pieces of the puzzle into... you know how when you do a puzzle and it's like it almost fits but doesn't quite, and you're like, why doesn't it fit? At least that's what I think. Not me reflecting the same thing we're talking about right now, but yeah, sometimes I wanted to like pound that piece of the puzzle in there and I'm like, I know it fits. Let's keep it pushing right here, but it of course did not. So I feel like that is their mindset, and they're starting to realize that the picture that was all put together because it got hammered in places it shouldn't have been. It got manipulated. It got strategized and forced. Now the whole picture is indeed distorted and the whole life is distorted. I feel like this person, this enemy, is really undergoing massive realizations. And for some reason, I feel like they think upon you. They think about like your balance. They see you as being very balanced, very stable, very handsome, very beautiful, very... I don't know. I don't want a very receptive era. Like you are accepting. Like when people say, you know, I really want you in my life, then you, I don't know. If they, you know, behave that way, then you believe it. But when they say, no, I don't want you in my life, you also, you know, by their actions, they demonstrate you believe it as well. That was a horrible example. You're welcome. Hope you can think your way through that one. But the gist of it is that they see you in this receiving energy, and the fact that you have balanced out this characteristic where you are an overgiver. And I feel like this narcissistic person, this enemy, realizes now that they only go after people that are, you know, what can you do for me as a mindset. And it's like, these are people that want to climb the ladder. They want to step on your shoulder. They want to step on your head in order to get ahead. And what they're realizing is that that table got flipped, that all of a sudden that cake got tossed to the floor, and everything is an emergency now, and they have nowhere to turn to and no one to blame except themselves. So I feel like massive, deep realization for this person, this enemy. Tower vibes is coming through for me, even if it doesn't show up on the board today. Yeah, so they are shooketh, and they're reevaluating, having to reevaluate everything that they knew as far as what they were committed to or whom was committed to them, because I feel like their connections are shallow, controlled, paper doll, paper mache. I don't know. I don't like it. Anyways, the mechanics of it all was a facade, I feel. And they're starting to really realize that they're not happy with that. What? They're not happy? Shocking. Pile number 2. If you are liking these kind of readings, do take a moment to like, share, comment, subscribe. I would really be grateful. Those of you guys that have already done so, I am so grateful to you. Thank you. What your enemies realize about you now. that you are incredibly astute, that you have this ability to observe things, that you are top dog, top tier, that you are queen bee, king bee. There is no such a thing like that. Well, you get the gist. I even like that the owl is perched on the very, the sword has, its tippy tip is on the ground, presumably, right? And it's perched on the sword, and it's like, I will be on the sword and I'll die by the sword. Like, come towards me straight or don't come at all. I feel like you are definitely no nonsense. I think that you have this ability to split through everything with a cohesiveness, with an accuracy that is astounding. And I feel also that you have been able to dissect this person, their MO, their ability to, I don't know, try to mastermind things. Maybe you've identified like cycles. You've identified, the people that they would try to magnetize towards. I don't know. I feel like you are the seer. And the King of Swords is they can be cold and calculating, but also the King of Swords is somebody who really defends their family. They are reliable. They are dependable. They are factual. They have a heart, but they have been maybe perhaps wounded by love. And they realize that they need to use their intellect in order to balance that out. And so they realize right now that you have balanced out the very thing that maybe perhaps they were able to exploit once upon a time or attempted to exploit in you. And that is no longer an option. And I feel like that's put you in a very high position in their mind as well. Let's see what else. What? The Hermit comes out again. Yeah. And so we have Virgo right here again. Very interesting. And then, yeah, air sign. So a lot of repetition going on here. It could be that they are trying to get to the place where you're at spiritually, I feel. A place where they feel like they don't need to manipulate everything, but they don't really understand how that would work. What would the world look like without having to really maneuver, strategize, manipulate? It's almost like lie, cheat, steal in order to get what you want. And then when you get what you want, you realize that everything is just filthy. And you turn around, you put on a pair of like revealing glasses, let's say, right? And you look around and everything is just like taped together. Oh my gosh. Confession time. Okay, listen, not about me, but here we go. So I feel like your enemy is starting to realize right now that the way that they handle things was inappropriate, uncalled for, that they've done a lot of damage, right? But I was led to share with you, like, once upon a time, when I had my house with my ex-husband many moons ago, I couldn't really decide. I didn't want to put pictures up on the wall because I didn't know if I really wanted those permanently there. Maybe I would change my mind, whatever. And so what I did was I put them up with like these like thumbtacks. Were stronger than thumbtacks, but you get the gist. It was not a permanent thing. And then I would just kind of look at them and I'm like, well, I'll probably move them around. I never did. But everything on my walls was like precariously thumbtacked to the walls. Listen, don't judge me. That's been my life, whatever. And I think that's so funny. So I think in a lot of ways, your enemies are starting to realize that maybe perhaps too, they have in a lot of ways not built things in a proper way, or maybe put up the picture or the mirror in a way that is going to be stable. Like if there's an earthquake or if somebody bumps it or whatever, there is stability there. They're starting to realize that their whole life has been tape and masking tape and thumbtacks and double-sided tape and I don't know what else is out there, right? And they can no longer function like this, that they have to actually make a commitment in order to really grow. And I think that they're really at difficult stages right now. I don't see a lot of progress at all. I feel like they're in a period of hermitude, and good for them. They're going to need that. Best of luck for that, right? For them. I feel like they have a lot of garbage to overcome. They have built this world of falseness and lies and deceit and manipulation and corruption. And I feel like these people are in the pit of despair right now. And it's nothing more than due to their own handling of their own life and people in their lives. And treating people and discarding them as objects, let's say. And so I feel like it is time to pay the piper. And now they're starting to really realize that there is no bliss around them, that they have really, with their own two hands, destroyed the very thing that they were attempting to build, because they built in a faulty manner. So these are deep realizations. I definitely feel, again, they're undergoing tower moments, and they're going to have to be okay with journeying and taking a period of hermitude in order to really see what it is that maybe they left behind, a piece of their heart, a piece of their hopes and dreams, or an idealism that was left behind, and they need to come back to themselves. So all of this garbage is, I think, falling away. It is meant to, it is designed to. It is no different than like fall, when the leaves all fall, and then it kind of creates like compost, and, you know, it's like the cycle of life in order to really renew themselves. And I think this is a big, big, big job. I feel like professional help is needed here. I don't think it's a light thing. I don't think it's going to be a quick thing. It's going to be a lifelong commitment to, you know, recommitting to whom they want to be. But for now, I don't even think they know. They don't understand how to operate with honor, with integrity, with straightforwardness, with let your words be exactly what you mean, right? Say what you mean and mean what you say. I feel like it's very simple. It's a very simple mindset and approach, but they've been stuck in this cycle of being dualistic, of being deceitful. I don't know. It's gross. I need to get out of this energy. So I hope that this makes sense to you. Let me know what you guys think. Much love to you. Until next time, namaste. Hi friends, my name is Chriselle with Toughdolltarot, and I'm here to do your reading. What do your enemies realize now? That you're fashion forward, photograph well, or something about you is captivating, that you have places to go to, because I simply hear these airplanes nonstop right now. Your heart chakra is what rules you. You embody strength in spite of the frail wings and power. Unbeknownst to them, they're starting to realize this now. You blend in well everywhere, and people would love to be around you, including... Welcome. If you're new here, I hope that you find something that is helpful or encouraging. For those of you guys that are indeed my repeat offenders, I'm ever so grateful. Thank you so much for your support, your patience, and all the things. Pile number 3. What do your enemies, air quotes, right, realize now? You have transformation. And you have distorted. You have distorted transformation. Okay. So first of all, this belongs to somebody, this message. While I was trying to do the shuffle and really focus on the subject, which is, what do your enemies realize? I kept hearing, this is Halloween, this is Halloween. So maybe a nightmare before Christmas could mean something to someone out there, right? But what do your enemies realize now? It says, if end of an old pattern, emotional renewal, blessings in disguise, no control over what's happening, new you emerging. Yeah, so you have reinvented yourself. You have undergone maybe an ego death, a transformation, a body transformation. Maybe you've been hitting the gym and really feeling mighty fine and feeling good about yourself, and building muscle and focusing on what's important is maybe your flexibility, your resiliency. And yes, some of you may be having a smaller waist and having a lifted boot tag, all the things, right? But if this isn't physical, then I'm definitely going to say that this transformation is something that's deep within. It is powerful. I feel like it's noticed by all. And especially with the end of old patterns keeps like showing up for me. Maybe you have you do have connection, pile number 1. If you feel led to, then go over there if you haven't already. But I definitely feel like an end of old patterns, like the cycles and the patterns, leads directly to pile number 1. What are your enemies realizing now? Lots of pending work to finish. Maybe you're waiting for a particular decision. I'm discreet about grievances, drawn to petty arguments. I'm feeling that for sure. Lack of contact from someone, slow down disagreements. So I definitely feel like your enemies are realizing that you are not the same person as when they knew you. Even if this is family, this is friends, this is situationship, relationship, this is spouses, it doesn't make a difference. That you are no longer the same person because there has been a massive transformation from within, right? Scorpio is a very powerful energy. Not only is it magnetic, not only is it incredibly sexy, but the transformation, I feel like, has taken place deeply within. And regardless of what goes on around you, it definitely forces other people to act differently towards you. And this isn't coming from a manipulation of it's not that at all. I feel like you simply change yourself. For example, I'm hearing, okay, this is acceptable behavior and this stuff I won't tolerate. And it doesn't matter if you have a title, if you have investment in me, if we own property together, it doesn't matter if we have a business together. If this behavior is unacceptable, then I'm not going to tolerate it. And it doesn't matter whom you are. It could be children, siblings. It could be, besties. It could be anybody. I feel like you have put your self-worth at the forefront, and you're in a place right now where actually you really like yourself. And this could be a massive change from before. You could have really battled a lot. You could have gone within and really struggled with who you are. And maybe perhaps a lot of this had to do with projections from your enemies, and that you absorbed outward opinions and other people's opinions, for example, about your body, about how you present yourself, about what you wear, how you do your hair, right? People have a lot of opinions, but it's interesting that you got to at some point think, so much focus on you, why not focus on themselves? And I feel like that is, that's a question that these enemies are asking themselves, and they don't want to focus on themselves because they know that for that to happen, they themselves are going to have to look in the mirror. They're not going to like what they look like, you get it. So they're not going to really appreciate who they are. And especially that now that you've transformed so much, I feel like their old tactics don't work. And so they're like, oh crap, now what do I do? How do I get in? But they're not understanding that this is an inner job. They just have to work on the inside of themselves and not, continue trying to strategize, manipulate, and distort the world. Now, yeah, lots of pending work to finish. It's like, I feel like your enemies are like, oh my gosh, I have so much to do. There's an air of like stress, of a lot of projects left incomplete, a lot of things that need to be done, a lot of, I don't know if I can complete it within this timeline. A lot of things up in the air is what I'm feeling. These enemies are realizing right now is that they have failed themselves, and with that failure, they've missed the mark. And I'm getting it is like with that beautiful Sagittarius energy, right? November through, November 30th could really be highlighted right here, and that's coming up. I'm shooting at the very end of August. I had to think about that for a minute. I'm like, hey, a lot happened this month. But I definitely feel like your enemies are realizing right now that there is so much that needs to be undertaken, that they're feeling overwhelmed, frazzled, almost defeated before they even begin, right? And it's like how that old adage goes, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. That's so dumb. Anyways, but I said it. Okay, how do your enemies, what do your enemies realize now? Pile number 3. Setbacks, obstacles hindering progress or advancement. They're encountering a lot of obstacles. Prejudice or racial views from others affecting growth, public scandal, criticism, lack of direction in life, career demands, straining relationships, power struggles, and career conflicts in the workplace. So, no matter what they're doing, I want you to enjoy these cards because they're so pretty. It's a vibe about it. You can find it on Etsy, not affiliated, but helpful tip. Check these cool cards out. But there is no communication, and they're like looking at their own achievements. I feel like that's why they've been focused on you for so long. It's like, well, pile number 3, they achieve this, they achieve that, they do this, they do that. And it could even be like that parent that's hyper-focused and living vicariously through their own child, right? And that's a lot of pressure for anyone to have to live up to. Or it's like difficult enough to meet your own expectation, but to meet somebody else's expectations, especially when it's not in line at all with who you are, because they haven't focused on their own life, that's just kind of like warped, distorted pressure. Anyways, yeah, distorted energy altogether. And they're starting to realize that, they have put their hope in all the wrong things. And not saying that you are the wrong thing or the wrong person, but you really have to be happy and content with self and what it is that you're doing. And if you're not, then something needs to change. And this change is never easy. Change, I don't think, is ever easy, but it will transform your life into something that you can really embrace and really enjoy, and open up different lines of communication that you never thought possible, and give you most of all peace that you never thought you would have before, instead of like constantly focusing and pointing fingers and looking at other people. Keep in mind, for each finger that you're pointing, you have 3 more focused on you, pointing back. And so it's like your enemies are realizing now that all of this effort, all of this, like where they put their hopes and their dreams and whatever, has been a misalignment. They really have to start coming into alignment with who they are. And I'm even hearing these people could be older. They could be like, thinking, well, I mean, what do you mean? They have like no idea like how to start or what to do, but it's very simple as start at the very beginning. Start at the beginning and, own it. Own whatever it is that you have to own in order for you to advance, to move forward, know where you're at in order to know where you want to go. So what are your enemies realizing right now? Pile number 3, Temperance, that you have achieved a level of healing that they can only dream of. Look at this. Is it a toad? I don't know my frogs, you guys. I'm just going to call it a toad. It's got them cute little fingers, suctions maybe. I don't know. But with the Temperance card, this is about having 1 foot in the water, 1 foot on land, and it's being balanced. It's being sure that your emotions are balanced and grounded with reality. And so I feel like that just pairs well with the whole reading already. It's like your enemies are realizing right now that they have been like all emotional, and not anything based on reality. It's not realistic to put your hope and your trust and your dreams in someone else or something else, right? Not like that. And they're starting to realize that in order to heal, this needs to happen. Now, I'm looking at all of this from behind. Seems to me like a lot of rain. Like there's been a lot of rain. There could have been a lot of rain recently in their lives. But I'm hearing when it rains, it pours. And that, spoken like a true cynic. So I definitely feel like this enemy, what your enemy is realizing right now is like, when it rains, it pours. Well, you can have that mindset, or you can think, wow, the rain is going to wash everything that doesn't belong. It's going to give us a chance of renewal, respite from the glaring heat. Maybe it's going to clean and wash the rocks and, give new clarity, a different type of air to breathe. It's going to really renew things. And so I feel like your enemies are realizing that you are incredibly balanced at this point in time in your life with the number 14, that you have really struggled, that you have had a lot of wins in their eyes, that you have transformed a lot, right, with a frog, that you have overcome so much, and that you are a pillar of healing. And what they realize right now is that they need to undergo their own journey of self-healing, of a desire. And it's not like other people can't accompany you on a short period of time during your journey, but I mean, realistically, we come alone into this world and we exit in a similar fashion. Even if you are a twin, triplet, quadruplet, it doesn't make a difference. One is going to come out usually before the other. I don't know. C-section, I still feel like one comes out before the other. I could be wrong on that, but I digress. So what do your enemies realize? What are they realizing now? Yeah, is that you have a lot of reciprocal energy, that the clouds are parting, and that the stars are really shining for you, that it's no longer like stormy and cloudy where you're at, meaning like your emotional climate, your inner world has served to really stabilize, that you've been able to ground, you've been able to heal. And maybe perhaps you have like a magical forest, as I have the privilege of being on a magical forest in order to do my healing. And I am so grateful for it. It's beautiful here. It is grounding. It has been the peace that I personally have needed. And so I feel like your enemies are realizing now that they need to really focus on their own healing. And they're taking this to heart. It's not like, oh yeah, I need to focus on healing. Let me do. No, this is like deep, deep revelations to them, because they've had so many setbacks and so many horror stories I'm hearing, and their vision is distorted. Yeah, I'm picturing a mirror of like being in a fun house where it distorts it, where you're like really tall, or you're really big, or you're really small, or everything is just kind of like wavy and distorted, and you can't really understand what you look like. And I feel like they have been distorted in this reality that just doesn't work any longer, and nobody is standing behind that and trying to placate their delulu ideas. Okay, it's not happening anymore. So now they need to rebalance everything in order to hit the mark, in order to have their own adventures, in order to really move forward in their life, and remove distortion is going to be what is needed, and they're realizing that now. They can't play pretend, they can't play house anymore. Somehow that's going to mean something to someone. So pile number 3, what do your enemies realize now? Yeah, 4 of Pentacles. They realize that they have been that fox in the den all along. They have been the fox in their own den. Whatever they've been creating, they, with their very hands, have been destroying. Whatever they've been trying to protect, they have been, instead of allowing it to grow and flourish and multiply, they have really desecrated it themselves with their very hands, by maybe clutching, holding too tight onto things, onto people, onto ideas, onto scenarios, and not allowing things to really flow by nature. That they themselves are the enemy of their own story, that they themselves are the villain of their own story, and they have finally seen this and figured it out. Yeah, what your enemy is realizing right now is that they have stepped on heads, on people's minds, on other people's egos, on other people's precious, I'm hearing precious moments. Maybe somebody collects precious moments. That'd be additional confirmation. I don't know. But that they have really, with their own pause, their own sneakiness, their own tendency to give backhanded comments, backhanded compliments, maneuver things, strategize, use the poor me idea, have a distorted idea of, because I have a title, because I have, you know, money or whatever, that this entitles me to XYZ. And pile number 3's life. Whatever this is, I definitely feel like those things are coming out. I feel like it is relevant. I feel like also you're being utilized by Spirit right here as a, I'm hearing a product of hope. Now, I'm all for awkward words. That's what we do on this channel. But I definitely feel like you are definitely an example. I feel like a shining example of how to transmute energy, how to transform yourself, and how to really step into your light even more. And I feel like it has been painful, and it has been, I'm hearing, tenacious effort. It's taken a lot of effort, a lot of micro movements, a lot of massive movements, a lot of tearing things down that just weren't working. A lot of humility, a lot of self-humbling, a lot of being humbled by life itself at times, right? And I feel like what your enemies are realizing right now is that due to this humility and this ability to really have one foot into this world and one foot connected to Spirit, let's say, that you've been able to heal, that you do have a connection to the otherworldly, to Spirit, however you want to see it and say it. And that they're realizing that they can no longer act like this. Like, I feel like your enemies think that being cunning is glorified, that being cunning is, and crafty, I hear, and witchy in the wrong way. Okay, I'm talking, this is putting, you know, spells on people, haciendo entierros, doing, I don't know how to say it in English, is basically where you know, it's like voodoo hoodoo, or you know, doing spell work in order to harm other people, in order to manipulate, in order to strategize and things like that. Using energy work as what could be a light worker in order for evil, in order for ill intent, in order for harming other people, in order to manipulate, right? And have a different cause and effect of what what they want. So I feel like your enemies are realizing that all of these things have been rooted in them. They've allowed this tendency to want to be the fox, want to be clever, want to be sneaky, want to be, you know, taking what isn't yours and pretending and maybe even lowballing. That's for somebody here. They wanted to do all of these things and expect to have a great self-esteem or expect their life to go on the up and up. And instead, I feel like they are left currently a little bit like this bunny. They're like, wait a minute. Oh my gosh. Now I feel stripped down. I feel vulnerable. I feel colorless. It's the color white. Yeah, it's like feeling exposed in the middle of the forest. And that could be very dangerous for any creature that, you know, I don't know, that's like vulnerable, soft and cuddly. So they're realizing that, you know, they themselves are the villain, have been the villain, and they try to disguise it in light of themselves. But the biggest thing is they're realizing, you know, that the whole thing has been a lie. They have led a life of lies, and that needs to end. And that's going to be entirely up to them. So what your enemies realize now, pile number 3, I'm hearing that they're screwed. These are really painful realizations, and it could come at an inopportune time. Well, it's really funny because I think that this person's all about convenience, right? I feel like, well, that's not convenient for me, or it's the wrong timing, or, you know, I can't think about that. I need to move forward, and they want to continue moving forward here. But when they continue moving forward with withholding their emotions, their real emotions, how they really think, the reality of things, withholding the fact that they have been maybe I'm hearing stalker, or they've been, yeah, I feel like somebody casing, you know, casing whatever it is that you have, your resources, whatever, in order to use them for their own benefit. It's going to be a long, long walk up. And the sooner they get started, the sooner they can get on the other side. But this is going to be much needed therapy. I feel like this person would be somebody who just like really medicate over meditate, right? They don't want to self-reflect. They don't want to do the inner work. And insofar as they continue behaving like this, they're going to continue having these same problems that are just cycles. And they're going to continue seeing you perhaps as the villain, you perhaps as the enemy, you perhaps as the one that keeps lifting that mirror. And they're like, damn it, pile number 3, stop that. I don't need to look at myself. I know who I am. I'm like, well, do you? Do you though? And if you know whom you are, well, other people are too, or at least they're starting to know. Yeah, this is deeply rooted within them, deeply